It's 6:30, so let's get started. We call the meeting to order. And the first item is to review and approve the minutes for the meeting of February 5th, 2024. Hope you all got them. Michelle sent them around. Any changes or additions or anything that need to be made?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. And the next item is the demo applications. So the first numerically is HDPR 2412, which is 966 Smith Neck Road. We have somebody for that.
Hello. Sorry, I thought I was second on the agenda.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Take it.
it was
It's fine.
second on the agenda, but then I looked at the numbers and I said 12 comes before 14.
No problem, thank you. I'm Mike Tartamella, I'm with Patrick Ahern Architect, here for 966 Smith Neck. So we're here today for what we believe is a detached barn, as it's been classified on assessor's records. The original house was built in 1790, and no question is spectacular in its own right. This structure sits a little bit further back behind that. I'm not sure if you've seen the drawing packages that were submitted, but what we're doing is we're basically taking what is now a 5-car garage and converting it into what feels a little bit more of a cabana barn building. So we think it's consistent with the vocabulary of the other structures on the property. There's a main house. There's also another detached 3-car garage on the property. And the homeowners are going to be converting the building, which does have a bedroom in it right now, but converting the building to be a little bit more useful space for them instead of storing cars. So this house that doesn't have a basement, this building becomes a little bit more of a recreation room, and that's what we're looking to do. So we've changed the imagery slightly by breaking up the linear nature of the front facade and giving a little bit more vertical sort of change to the axis with this addition. The addition's very modest. It's a little 2-foot bump out in the front and a 2-foot bump out in the back, but gives a reverse gable in the front of the structure. So happy to take any questions. We'd be re-siding and re-shingling the structure with the same white cedar shingles on the side and also the red cedar shingles on the roof to match the house. So.
Anybody have any comments and questions?
I just want to, for the record, it is in the inventory listed as DAR 33. It was the home of Captain David Howland and his wife Avis Aiken, who is a descendant of the Aikens from Rockland and Dartmouth Street.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that it went all the way back to 1983 with the DARs, I think, so it's been cataloged several times, but I noticed there wasn't anything much about the outbuilding that we're discussing.
Correct.
I thought the drawings were very tasteful and looked very nice.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You mentioned something about a kind of a cabana style. Does that encompass rec room? Is that the purpose?
Yeah, it's a pretty big volume on the inside. I should say pretty big volume in terms of length. And so it's a 5-car, what amounts to a 5-car garage, and on the right, there's actually a bedroom and a bathroom over there right now. So, in terms of being cabana, they're going to create a little fire pit in the back side of it and a pool on the front side of it. So this is going to have sort of a transparency through the front and the back. Okay. And then laterally, we're still kind of keeping the vocabulary of the carriage house doors on either side and also the door in the middle. So what's 5 doors right now becomes 3 doors later. So we break the scale down a little bit that way.
I'm sorry, I should follow up by saying this, further down the line, this was the home of George B. Knowles, the same family that still exists, that is the landscape company out of Fairhaven now.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or discussion? No? We have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the renovations as presented. And if you want to use the exact wording, I don't have it in front of me. So,
Well, I think we can let that one go. We accept it. I'll find it for you.
We have some formal language that.
I make a motion to.
Lawyers,
This is-
and,
Seconded?
And I second.
Make a motion to approve.
Oh, thank you. There it is. Can we pass it
There
down?
you go, sure, of course, yeah.
I think everybody got a copy. at
Mine
the
is
last-
just very recent, so I happen to have it right.
There you go.
okay, finding, where are we here? Making a motion, this is the delay thing, huh?
Up toward the top, I think.
Okay, I see. Make a motion that the Department Historical Commission, having determined that the building at, the address again,
966 Smith Neck Road.
966 Smith Neck Road, not historically significant, approves the demolition permit for the work as described in your application, which is HDPR.
2412.
2412.
And I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is your own copy? Is this your only copy?
You might need it again.
Keep it.
There's some
We can pass
people
it
really
around.
hoping you're gonna need it again. Okay, next up is HDPR 2414, which is 25 Prospect Street.
James Simmons, South Coast Construction. We're basically looking to demo their front porch, and we're gonna add on to the existing porch that's there. We are matching the roof and shingles, and we are gonna replace siding shingles as well, but they're gonna be the white cedar to match the existing. The porch is gonna come out about 20 more feet, and it's gonna encompass the whole front of the house, as opposed to right now just having a covered porch. Other than that, I don't think we're changing much.
The gazebo.
Yeah,
you
we have
said
the
plans.
gazebo on the side.
Yeah. Okay, I'll let others go. Are there questions and comments? I had one question. It was just that, in the initial application for the building permit, it had all the details, that was 24-100 on February 7th, to build the covered porch with 3 staircases, strip and replace shingles on the side of the house. But then when you did the demo permit for us, it just said demo existing deck, install new bigger deck. But
Yeah,
it's all the same thing,
yes,
okay.
Yeah, it's
Just
all-
different description.
exactly, yep. So we should have added stripping the sidewall
kinda like-
on your permit as well.
It's the same work.
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
so,
We just, instead of just taking one project, we're combining it all so we can get it all done at once, instead of having to come back in front of you guys to say, hey, we'd like this side, the side of the house.
right, okay,
So we're gonna try and get it all done in one
All once.
giant swoop.
I understand. Well, the plan. The plans were very comprehensive, so it was easy to see what you were doing. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Oh. Okay. Anybody want to read the script? Who's reading the script?
I'll read the
Take a
script.
turn back.
All right.
Yeah, right. I make a motion that the Dartmouth Historical Commission, having determined the building at 25 Prospect Street, not historically significant, approves the demolition permit for the work described in application HDPR-24-14.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I
In
see it?
favor? Passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and the last one is HDPR 2415, which is 596 Dartmouth Street. Believe we've met.
We have met. This is our second application. I wish they would just determine to do all the work at once, but they don't. So we've already done the roof and the siding on the building, and now they are addressing the front facade. So what the plan is to replace the windows on that front facade, replace the 3 doors that are there, and then the small section of sidewall between the door, the top of the windows and doors, and the second floor roof line, that is going to be done in siding to match the siding that we used in the gable, which is a white scalloped vinyl siding.
Okay.
For my benefit, can you just state who you are?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Jeff Ramos. I work for Marshall Building.
Marshall
I'm
Building,
the, work for the contractor that's actually doing the work.
Thank you.
Questions? Anybody? Okay, it's hard for me to picture the scalloping.
I have, it's not great, but it's, kind of a rendition of it, what the final is gonna look like.
Thank
On
you.
the bottom there.
Oh, I see.
I also have a picture of the, this is after we completed the siding work, so again, it's the white scallop shingles that are in that gable that are gonna be put in that section above the windows, just to kind of match.
Can I just ask the question, the decision to go from cedar to vinyl, was it a cost thing, or what was?
I just think it, being a commercial building, and I think probably cost was involved, but also I think the maintenance aspect of it
Okay.
probably played in.
Are there other questions? Do you guys want to see these?
Can I see this?
The doors are gonna look,
Yeah, there's gonna be one 6-panel door, solid door, and then the others are gonna have the glass exactly the way they are now.
I think my only comment would be that the current, what's currently over the windows and doors,
Like a raised panel look.
yeah, it all kind of ties the windows and doors together
Uh-huh.
and ties the first floor together. And now with the scalloping,
It's gonna look completely different, I agree with you on
yeah,
that.
it's really gonna change the
I mean, I don't think it would be an issue
feel of it.
if we changed the scope and did a raised panel above those, because it's a small area, it's not really.
I think if I could make a suggestion or a hope, I think I would wish that it looked, that it would not go to the scalloping, that it would retain the same aesthetic that ties the windows and doors and that whole
Correct.
first floor together,
Yeah, I agree with
if
you.
you know what I mean.
My opinion's not usually taken, but I agree.
Well, it's it's just a recommendation to keep that kind of historic look,
Yeah. And I, that's not a
to
problem at all.
continue that, so if we could push for that, I would
Certainly.
certainly do that.
Certainly.
Yes, Val?
I just had one question. Is it still the Dancer's Edge down below? So it's a commercial building. Is it still,
I'm pretty sure that the business is staying, but I don't know that for sure. I'm not positive.
so it's business below and?
Business below and apartments above,
Apartments
yeah.
above.
Any more comments or questions or discussion? Okay,
Make a motion, can I do this?
sure.
Sure.
Read away.
I'd like to make a motion to approve demolition permit, this is the first time I've done this, of 596 Dartmouth Street and the HDPR 2415. And I make a motion that the Dartmouth Historic Commission that's the second one. I make a motion that the Dartmouth Historic Commission have determined the building is not historically significant, approves the demolition permit for the work described in the application.
Do you want to make a notation of the change?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so that if I go back and say, this is what was approved.
We can make a
I don't
note
need
of
to have
it in
any
the
argument.
minutes that
Yeah,
if
it'll be
it
in.
comes to some technical kind of thing,
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
all right?
Aye, thank you.
Approved.
Okay, do you want to keep those, or do you want?
Thank you. No, do you want to keep them for the records or
I like to keep them, to keep a look at
in
them.
the files? Okay.
problem at all.
Thanks.
I I thought that was a fire engine thing, it's a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I thought so too for a minute, but then the sound didn't go back down.
Sorry.
Okay, that may have been the shortest,
Now, we're
fewest
supposed- are we
number
gonna
of,
Memorize this, is this supposed to be a
it's your
memorization
cheat
course?
sheet, you can
Oh.
keep it. Although Robert probably won't, did you get yours back?
No, but you could send me an email, but I'll
Get
print
it
it
back?
out. You want to keep it? Because if you want to keep that,
No, I have this at
Okay.
home, I'm sorry,
We'll
just,
have one.
We have,
because I'm not going to memorize that.
No, no, sorry.
what is your last name?
Mahold.
Mahold.
It should be on the bottom, but I'll spell for you, Maholdald.
It's right at the bottom of the agenda.
just, ask a question about that wording. The original wording that we used had parenthetically, for purposes of the demolition, the historic demolition delay bylaw.
That was the sheet that we used to fill out.
Hold
Sorry.
on a second, Phil, we're just gonna take turns the way we talked about last
Okay.
week. So it used to specifically reference Dartmouth, the
Yes.
DHC's demolition bylaw.
Right.
Would you like to insert that?
I'm agnostic about that, but I think that it might, since we're using formal language, it might be a good idea to add that language. That, where's,
You wanna
do you
go
have it
get-
here? So it would read, I make a motion that the Dartmouth Historical Commission, having determined for purposes of the demolition delay bylaw, that the building at blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's,
Anybody, do you have anybody have further discussion, or?
Well, can you explain where the language came from? Do
If
you
I remember right, it either came from, I think it came from the MHC website.
So if it came from the MHC website, can we not have this long, drawn-out, explanation and just keep it as short and sweet as possible, if that's the language recommended?
I'm happy to edit it down if somebody wants to put together the way they would want to.
You want a copy of this? It's in the file.
One at a time, please. If you would like to edit it a little bit and send it my way, and we can toss it around to try to come up with the best version. I'm all for changing it, that's fine, as long as it directly states what we want it to say in a consistent, concise way. I think, yeah, it probably could be shortened. So, did you want to say anything
no,
else? Okay.
I just wanted to make that
Yeah.
that point. I was stumbling, I was looking for that language when I read this version, and it wasn't there.
Yeah, I think it's it's a valid point. I just, I was trying to come up with something again that was, it seemed like we were ad-libbing quite a bit.
We were. Yeah.
So I just wanted to
And I
talk.
think shorter is smarter, and so it's fine with me if you want to keep the short version.
All right. Good. Yes, Phil?
In my old days on the commission, I used to fill out that sheet, and that sheet would go in the files. Now, somewhere along the line, all that was canceled, am I correct?
Yes.
So, this is the new regime, and now are these gonna go in the files with the information? So that
Everything's
there's a record?
online now, Phil,
Okay.
so we
All
don't,
the files are online too?
all the approvals, all the letters approving things.
No,
all
but
the
I'm talking about the files, the Form Bs, are those online too?
Yes,
Okay.
but I believe all the printed copies are also filed already, all the Form Bs that have ever been done. So-
They're all part of
We're all
Macris
caught up.
database.
Okay, the next item is under new business, the Archaeological Reconnaissance Survey update. It's basically done. We got a draft of it, and a little bit back and forth with Holly of the Public Archaeology Lab, who's been spearheading this, just touching up a few things, discussing places where we thought maybe more or less emphasis might go, and then she is going to be doing a presentation probably week after next. We're looking at maybe the 21st, which is a Thursday, during the day. And she would come in and present to us, anybody who would like to be there, and the planning board, members from the planning board, the Conservation Commission, the DNRT, Buzzards Bay Coalition, CPC, I'm missing one, maybe zoning. But those are the ones that I have on my list so far.
Did you
So-
mention DNRT?
Yes, I did, yeah, definitely. So, just people who have, oversight of protection of land and open space and places where, development or any kind of, change in the landscape could impact archaeological resources. So she's gonna give an overview, she's not gonna be talking about any of the sensitive site level information, but she'll be giving an overview of how much more has been discovered since the beginning of, the new technology with LiDAR and GIS databases and things like that. So it's, I think it was well worth having it done. There's been a lot of change since 2002 in terms of what we can see and predict is out there. I think the good news, in a way, was that there's been minimal development in Dartmouth in terms of, lots of, housing tracts and things like that. But there's still a need to protect what is there, and so having this information will be useful to a lot of different departments. Is there anything you wanted to add from your discussions with Holly?
No, just that she's, that she is willing to come and present the survey, which I think will be really helpful.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite interesting as well.
Is there a time on this?
We haven't nailed it down because I'm trying to get everybody, try to see when the best time, when everybody, the key players can meet. But I believe we're shooting at this point for the 21st. And as soon as I have something, I'll put it out to the group.
And it'll be, as far as I know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it'll be during working hours, because if it requires staff to come from town hall, they're not gonna come after hours.
And Holly has a
Where's it
meeting
gonna
then.
be held?
In the
Here.
plant, in the training room.
Yeah, at the town hall. And then I will be able to close that item out too with the CPC and get that taken care of. That brings up the next thing, which is CPC funds that are available for historic preservation. And so I printed out the list of goals and objective for the CPC. 1, 2, 3. Those two come apart, I'm pretty sure. Make sure you have, if they should be back to back. I was getting squirrely. So right now, there is a grand total of $588,905.53 available in the historic preservation line of the CPC. And so if you read through, the handout I just gave you, and you skip right over to, well, you can see the goals. We should be keeping in mind the objectives that they will support and be thinking about ways that we could potentially use some of those monies to do what we want to do in terms of preserving buildings, sites, doing some public outreach. Well, as you read through it, you'll, I think, probably projects will come to mind. And sometimes it's things like supporting the document, taking documents and digitizing them. So it's not necessarily something that has to pertain to structures. One item on here under 2 is maintaining the inventory of historic properties. So that's our Form Bs. And as we'll talk about later, that's something that I really want to get right back on track with. I think there was a list that was generated with Judy Lund that is the next batch that we wanted to do. So I'd like to resurrect that, run it by everybody, and then try to get that going for the fall, if possible. Let's see what else is on here. We did do on goal number 2 on the back side, we did update the town's archaeological reconnaissance survey that I was just talking about, so that goal has been met. What else is on there?
And Chris,
The Smith Mills Library, a few other ones, but it's something for us to think about. There's money that could support projects that we want to do. Yes?
the last item, the old Smith Mills Library, and how does the Friends of the Elderly come into play? I haven't heard them mentioned, don't remember them being mentioned before. When Rob, we've had discussions for years now about trying to do something with the Russell's Mills Library, because it's and the Smith Mills Library, because it's deteriorating and it's just abandoned and sitting there. And we haven't been able to find a solution.
That's right. Sue, do you have an update on, or could you refresh our memory? Because I came in the middle of that.
The Friends of the Elderly are not gonna take it because the move was too extensive. It was a long way to go from Smith Mills to Bliss Corner, so they've opted not to have that building moved to their site. We couldn't get the Voc to work on it because it has lead paint, and they won't let the students work on it if there's lead or asbestos or anything else that's a hazardous material, so.
You know, that one hasn't come up in probably a year now.
At least,
Right.
okay.
Are there any other thoughts at this point? I really just gave it to you so you could be thinking about it for the future. It wasn't something that I necessarily thought we were going to be discussing at length tonight. I just wanted to let you know how much money was available on that line and what the priorities of the CPC are, so that we could be thinking about projects that would mesh with their goals. And just a reminder too, that they're very, very specific about having a physical product, something that can be seen and used, as opposed to a feasibility study, for example. So,
May I ask a question?
yes,
Is that building worth saving,
the library,
the library, since it's been moved around a couple of times? Is it worth spending money on it?
I think it was deemed worthwhile when it was a discussion item over a year ago. I mean, we haven't talked about it recently, because there had been nobody who was willing to take it on.
Well, that, and they can't say whether or not that the project of moving the road is gonna take place and when is it gonna take place. That would be really helpful, because if it can stay right where it belongs in Smith Mills, which is where it originated, then it should stay there, but they can't say whether or not they're gonna remediate that problem on Route 6, so until they can do that, we really can't do anything.
So it's basically incognito right now until they decide on the Tucker Road expansion to the traffic on Route 6, kind of?
I think it's just staying as is, and we're hoping it won't deteriorate any further, and then once there's an answer to Route 6, then perhaps somebody will determine whether to save it in place or whether it needs to be moved, and maybe somebody else will want it by then.
So who's in charge of that? Is that the DPW responsibility to the building? Or
No.
do they have a building commissioner that's watching, keeping tack on
You know
it?
who's in charge of?
The building?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is no, I mean, no one has access to it. I mean, why, do you want to go in?
No. I've
Oh.
been in there a long time ago, but I'm just saying, there should be someone who is, we should make up some sort of, procedure for this building so that we can keep a record of what's going on with it, so that you can have it take the lead out of spend some money on it, having it de-leaded, and then maybe have it fixed up a little bit so that there's some sort of activity trying to save it, rather than just let it sit there and deteriorate. Before you know, it's just, maybe somebody's gonna do something to get rid of it, so.
Bev's next.
I know at one point, probably last year, Park Department had maintenance going there. So I think everything was running through the Park Department at that point, if anything needed to be done. So you might want to check with Tim Lancaster to see if he's still,
Okay.
Thank you,
or if it's
Beverly,
moved
for
up to
that.
select board or.
Is there anything more? Did you want to say something else about it?
No, I was just gonna say that I don't think anybody's gonna spend any money on it until the DPW steps forward with the state and says this is what's gonna happen with the Tucker Road expansion, or not.
But that does that include the old library? Is that
Yeah,
part of
because
it?
if the expansion, if they follow through with it, then it'll have to get moved again.
Now, the building that's in front of it, that's it's right near Tucker Road, are they utilizing that building for something?
They were using it for emergency management, but I don't know if they still are.
Well,
Beverly?
that's the kind of project that would have, or could be eligible for some kind of monies that the CPC has available.
Is it being held up because of the state and the monies? That's what I heard. I don't know if it's, was through the grapevine or something that they didn't get some of the monies from the state to finish the project, or,
For the Route 6
Yeah.
thing, I don't know what's held it up.
I mean, you hear all
Yeah.
different stories, so I don't know.
Did you send an email to the state rep to find out if he has any insight on what's going on with the highway and whatever?
No, we're not interested in pursuing it at that level at this point. If we find out that something is moving, then we can see whether the plans include, putting it in a place where the library would have to be moved.
Thank you.
But until we find that out, I don't think there's any reason to pursue it, as Sue said.
Chris?
Yes.
With this is, great to know. Do you want anything from us in terms of, putting forth some, possible ideas or prioritizing things from our end? Do you want that, or you do want that?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right,
Yes, please.
okay.
And also, it's not just the DHC that can apply for these funds. These are given out to all these different entities. So if there are people who you know of who are trying to do some kind of historic preservation work of any kind, you could mention that this is something that they could possibly tap into.
And just as a follow-up, you mentioned something like, feasibility studies were not really the kind of physical artifacts you're talking about. Digitizing documents also probably would not.
That does,
It
because
does,
it
okay.
produces a physical result,
Okay, all right,
a tangible result.
okay.
It's specific requirement. All right, so the next, old business, Form Bs. Again, I just feel like we really, that's the bread and butter here, the stuff that we need to continue to do as houses continue to pile up and as history marches on. I believe that there was a list of properties that needed to be done next that was prioritized. And if there is, I think we should resurrect that, and I am willing to follow up on that project. Unless somebody else wants to take it on or wants to take it on with me. I'm sure I'm gonna need some guidance from those who have come before and have done it. But as far as I'm concerned, that's something that needs to continue to happen on a regular basis, and I think we're already behind a year. Any discussion or comments about Form Bs? Anybody else want to take this on?
I don't know anything about it, but I could help. if you wanna help.
Excellent,
Okay?
thank you. The next item is 2 Washburn Lane, and I just want to keep this on the front burner and keep talking about it because, you know, we've done the demo delay, and I know Sue has done, she can speak to reaching out, thinking about ideas about having somebody from Roger Williams perhaps do some documentation or a study on it. In the summer, they can't do any work anyway because it's non-quit. But I think it'd be worth reaching out to Matthew Hobbs again to see where we're at, whether he's found any architects who have shown him plans that show modifications that he might be able to work with or anything along those lines. And I'm wondering if there's anybody who kind of wants to take that on as a point person to follow up with him and just to see what other options are out there for him. Because,
I was just gonna say that I'll continue to pursue whether or not there's a program out there, either through UMass Boston or Roger Williams, and I've actually asked, Holly's gonna send me an email, making suggestions
Oh, good.
and contacts, to use that house maybe as a study house.
Okay.
And if we can dig up some additional information that the family might find interesting.
It's like, is everything,
I'm gonna recognize Bob at his hand. Yes.
The, a few friends who have done major renovations on old houses have offered to invite the Hobbs over to see what the possibilities for a renovation, opening up the interiors of a historic house, that sort of thing could be while maintaining the character of the house. And I would be willing to reach out to Mr. Hobbs to see if he has any, if that appeals to him, if he has any interest in that, if he would like me to do that.
I like that idea. Anybody else? Any objections to
Is
that?
That seems to
sounds
be Rob,
great.
one of his things about passing this property on to his heirs, to his children or whatever. And younger people today, and some older people, are like the idea of opening up the space in these historic homes that have lots of, tiny rooms and alleyways and stuff. So that seemed to be one of his things that he was grappling with, and
Right.
trying to make a decision about the demolition.
That'd be great, Bob.
Okay.
And I just wanna, based on Nathaniel Allen's suggestion that there could be a compromise struck by doing that type of work in the section that was more of a stable or barn, that could be opened up, but to hopefully somehow retain the original structure as is. We're talking about a 1770 house. It's probably one of the few houses left in town that are intact, and I mean intact,
Okay.
so.
This is 2 Washburn Lane?
Right,
Yes.
you're familiar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Right.
Yes.
Just to add another point to that, if it came down to him sitting out the demolition delay and eventually tearing down the house because he has no incentive or intention of maintaining the house, I think showing him the possibilities of maintaining the structure and doing work on the interior while, demolition or restructuring on the interior. If that were a way to save the house, the structure, it might be worth him thinking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about whether he would still consider letting somebody move it. But that takes it out of its context, so that would be a last resort, well, other than demo, complete demo. Did you have? No?
When is this delay up?
Oh, I'd have to go back, that was December?
Has he done any?
No, it was the beginning of January.
January.
5th, I think.
Right, it was right before I left.
February, March, April, May, June.
Yep, so
Has
June.
he approached the commission with anything?
Not since we met, no. No, that's why I wanna keep it fresh and have us discuss it and follow up on things, and I was hoping that somebody would take the lead, and I appreciate that.
I thought, Sue, did you, reach out to him at any point to find out what his thoughts were up to this point? Is
Yeah, this
someone
has
spo-
been an ongoing conversation. I mean, he hasn't really said anything differently since the first time we met, so.
Were
So
we
that's-
supposed to give him ideas? I thought he wanted us to give him ideas on what to do with the house.
Well, that's what Bob's saying, is that we are going to give him some idea. We did give him some ideas then. Nathaniel talked about what the most important part of the structure was. And now Bob's gonna follow up with some more ideas and some examples of what could be done. So,
Good.
yes, thank you. Beth?
I just want to ask Bob, what was the gentleman's name that you were going to reach out to?
Hobbs.
Matthew Hobbs.
No, but you said you were going to, somebody else that worked in the area. That,
No, these are some people who have done, redone their
Oh, you didn't say
historical.
any names, no?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. All right, I didn't know if I missed it, because I was, thanks.
And, Chris, when when the demolition delay is up in June,
Yes.
presumably he would not actually be able to go ahead and do any demolition work until
He cannot, non-quit does not
Right.
allow any construction of any sort for the whole summer.
summer, yeah.
Right, so we don't have legal time, but we have
Yeah,
practical time to continue the discussion.
yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else on that one, then is there anything more that you would like to update us on in the old police station?
They haven't convened the committee, so there's nothing else to share.
Okay,
Yes, Sue, I drive by there frequently and I notice a lot of trucks in there. Are they doing stuff inside? Are they doing?
They're taking contaminated soil from Bliss Corner and bringing it out back. Is that what you're referring to?
No, I'm talking about the police station. Is there something going on inside?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
is there any other business or things that people want to discuss? Yes, Bob?
Yeah, Sue, I'd like to ask you, has the town formally put together a committee, a subcommittee to discuss the police station demolition?
That's what I was referring to, that they have not, they said they would convene the committee once they received the appraisal, and I haven't heard anything.
I submitted her name right after the last meeting. And they said, we'll let her know when they receive the appraisal and they'll convene the committee.
I noticed, just in an article in the paper, I'm reading tonight, about the CPC funds. And there was no mention of the police station, but there was mention of a rec center, which I think is a possible intended use of that. So I don't really know where all parties are on that, but that's, just pass it on.
Is that on the Dartmouth Weekly
Yeah,
latest
yeah.
one? I read the same thing, and I noticed that the police station was not mentioned.
No. But a rec center, place unknown, was brought up again by the town, so maybe that's, which I think was a possible intended use for that site, so
Right,
I'm not part of the context, but I just thought I'd pass it on.
yep. Bob was next, and then Phil?
Right, I would just be curious to know who the ad hoc, this ad hoc committee, who is on, and what sort of input they might be interested in having from town voters, residents, and so on, about the use of that property, of that land.
Right, well, as soon as they convene a group, then we can have the discussion, but until they get Sue there and have a discussion, I don't think we're gonna get any answers. So, but she is definitely gonna be reporting back as soon as that happens.
Mhm.
So. Bill, you had one more thing?
One more thing. How many people are on the commission, are on the town committee? I know
One.
just one. Has there anything come up is there anything on the ballot about the police station?
No, but if you're interested in learning about how the candidates feel about that issue, there are gonna be there's gonna be a Meet the Candidates Night sponsored by the Rotary Club on the 12th of March. I don't know what time, but it'll more than likely be in the Select Board room. And then there'll be a conversation with the candidates at the North Dartmouth Library on Saturday, March 16th, from 2 to 4.
Ross had a gathering at the New York Bagel Sunday, and there was a lot of activity with him there. The place was filled with people talking to him, so. And
Now, you're talking about Kyle Ross,
Kyle Ross,
who's running for school committee.
right.
Yeah, we're just having a conversation with the Select Board candidates.
Oh, okay.
Is there any other business?
Oh,
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that, is that on?
No, that's just a straightforward,
There is no,
nope.
No.
May I say something before? Sue, just want to thank you all for welcoming me. Appreciate it.
We're so glad you're here. Sorry, I should have said something about that. I'm so excited
make a
about
motion
getting
that
done
we
early.
adjourn.
Okay, so we had a motion to adjourn.
Don't get used to it.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.